The massive alien ship appeared on a quiet Tuesday morning, materializing above New York City in a flash of blue light. Its sleek, crystalline surface reflected the morning sun, creating rainbow patterns across the city's skyscrapers. Within minutes, every news channel worldwide broadcast the same image: humanity's first contact with alien life. Military jets scrambled to surround the vessel, but it paid them no attention. Instead, a message echoed through every electronic device on Earth, transmitted in perfect English and every other human language simultaneously. Attention, inhabitants of Sol 3. We represent the Galactic Council, the governing body of civilized space. Your world has been under observation for the past century. We have reached a decision regarding your species. The world held its breath. Decades of science fiction had prepared humanity for this moment, the dream of joining a greater galactic community. But what came next shattered those dreams. Your species has been deemed too aggressive and unstable for integration into galactic society. Your technological advancement, coupled with your violent tendencies, poses an unacceptable risk. You will submit to immediate disarmament and accept council oversight, or face containment measures. In Washington, D.C., the president sat in the Emergency Operations Center, surrounded by military leaders and scientific advisors. Similar meetings took place in Beijing, Moscow, London, and every other capital city. For the first time in human history, all nations faced a common threat that made their old rivalries seem meaningless. "They're not even giving us a chance to speak," the Secretary of Defense said, his face pale under the harsh fluorescent lights. "This isn't first contact, it's an ultimatum." The council ship remained stationary, broadcasting additional messages throughout the day. They detailed their requirements: dismantling of all military forces, surrender of nuclear weapons, and acceptance of alien advisors to oversee Earth's peaceful transition. In the United Nations, an emergency session brought together representatives from every nation. The Council's diplomatic team finally descended in a smaller vessel, landing directly in front of the UN building. They emerged looking almost human-like, but with gray-tinted skin and eyes too large and dark to be natural. The alien diplomats spoke with calculated precision, their words dripping with barely concealed contempt. "Your species spends more resources on weapons than on solving hunger. You wage wars over invisible lines on maps. You pollute your only habitat. The Council has determined you require guidance." But they had miscalculated badly. Instead of creating fear and submission, their demands awakened something else: human defiance. In the back rooms of the UN, historic enemies shook hands and made plans. In hidden military bases, generals who once targeted each other now shared strategies. In laboratories worldwide, scientists began working together, sharing data that had once been classified. The Council gave Earth 30 days to begin disarmament. They expected compliance, threatened consequences, and believed their superior technology would ensure humanity's submission. Their sensors detected the movement of military forces standing down, the powering down of defense systems, the apparent preparation for surrender. What they failed to detect was the determination in the eyes of every human who heard their demands. They didn't see the secret meetings, the hidden preparations, the birth of a global resistance before it even needed to resist. They couldn't measure humanity's greatest weapons: adaptability, creativity, and sheer stubbornness. "Send our response," the UN Secretary-General said at the end of the first week. The message was simple: "We require time to implement your demands. Please allow us the full 30 days to ensure proper compliance." The Council representatives accepted this with smug satisfaction, believing they had cowed the primitive species into submission. They didn't understand the steel behind the diplomatic words, the plans being laid in secret, or the true meaning of human persistence. As the alien ship hovered above New York, humanity prepared for a fight it had never expected but was determined to win. In labs, factories, and military bases around the world, people worked with a single purpose. The Council thought they were watching Earth's surrender, Instead, they were witnessing the quiet moments before humanity showed the galaxy exactly how uncivilized they could be. The 30-day countdown had begun, but it wasn't counting down to Earth's submission. It was counting down to the Council's first lesson about underestimating humanity. 20 days into the Council's deadline, Earth appeared to be complying perfectly with their demands. Too perfectly, the Council's observers thought. Their suspicions led to an unexpected decision. A demonstration of power was needed to ensure human submission. The attack came without warning at midnight Greenwich time. Bright purple pulses shot down from orbit, striking major power stations worldwide. Within minutes, the global power grid collapsed. Internet connections died. Cell phones went silent. The Council had delivered their warning shot. Let them experience a taste of darkness, the Council commander transmitted from orbit. Primitive species always fear the loss of their simple technologies. But humans were far from simple, and fear wasn't their typical response to threats. In hospitals, backup generators kicked in automatically. In military bases, hardened systems remained operational. In homes and offices, people adapted with a speed that startled the alien observers. Within hours, communities organized. Within days, alternative communication networks emerged. The Council watched in growing confusion as humans treated their punishment more like an inconvenience than a catastrophe. They hadn't expected the countless ham radio operators who quickly formed a global communication network. They hadn't anticipated the solar-powered systems that countless civilians had installed on their homes. They certainly hadn't expected the speed at which human engineers began restoring power through improvised methods. In a hidden facility deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, military scientists made a crucial discovery. "Look at these energy readings," said one researcher, pointing to a screen showing data from the Council's attack. "Their weapons emit a specific frequency before each pulse. They're actually warning us before they strike." This discovery spread through the secret global defense network. Human scientists, working together across former national boundaries, began developing countermeasures. The Council's advanced technology, they realized, followed predictable patterns. It was efficient, yes, but also rigid, inflexible, vulnerable. A week after the blackout began, something unexpected happened. Cities began lighting up again, not through their old power grids, but through new, decentralized systems. Humans had not only adapted, they had improved. The Council observers reported this development with concern. "The humans are showing unusual resilience," one report stated. "They appear to be using the blackout as an opportunity to rebuild their infrastructure in a more robust way." But the Council's leadership dismissed these warnings. "They are simply scrabbling to restore what they lost," the High Commander declared. "Their primitive solutions pose no threat to our superiority." This dismissal was their second major mistake. In secret facilities worldwide, human engineers studied the damaged alien technology left behind from the attacks. Each piece revealed new secrets. The Council's superior technology wasn't as advanced as they claimed. It was just different. Their power systems were based on principles humans hadn't explored, but once understood, these principles could be replicated and improved upon. "They think in straight lines," explained a physicist to military leaders in an underground bunker. "Their technology is like a perfectly solved equation. Ours is messy, redundant, but also more flexible. We can learn their methods while keeping our adaptability." The Council remained unaware that their warning shot had given humans exactly what they needed: real examples of alien technology to study. Every destroyed power station provided new pieces to reverse engineer. Every energy pulse revealed more about their weapons' capabilities. By day 25 of the deadline, most of Earth's power and communications had been restored. The Council saw this as humans desperately clawing back to their previous state. They didn't realize that beneath the surface, Earth's technology was evolving, becoming a hybrid of human ingenuity and alien principles. "The humans have restored their basic functions," a Council observer reported. "They appear properly chastened by our display of power. In response, the Council eased their surveillance, satisfied that their warning shot had achieved its purpose. They never noticed the new installations being built underground, the modified power systems that could resist their weapons, or the determination in the eyes of every human engineer and scientist working to turn the Council's own technology against them. The Council thought they had taught humanity a lesson in submission. Instead, they had given humans exactly what they needed: a reason to unite, and the tools to fight back. On the surface, Earth appeared broken and submissive. Humans kept their heads down when Council observers walked their streets. Military bases stood empty. Weapon factories were shuttered. The Council representatives smiled at their success, not realizing they were watching a carefully crafted show. Deep beneath the Pacific Ocean, a different story was unfolding. In massive underwater facilities, built in secret during the 30-day countdown, humans were preparing for war. These bases, hidden from the Council's orbital scans by kilometers of water, buzzed with activity. "The Council thinks water is a primitive environment," explained the lead engineer of Base Atlantic 7. "They avoid deep oceans. That's why we built here." Around him, massive machines worked day and night, building weapons that combined Earth's traditional military might with reversed engineered alien technology. The Council's biggest mistake was leaving their own people to watch over Earth. These observers, so confident in their superiority, talked freely around their primitive subjects. They never noticed how carefully humans listened, how every casual word about their technology and weaknesses was recorded and shared through the underground network. In hidden mountain bunkers, human scientists made breakthrough after breakthrough. They discovered that Council ships relied heavily on automated systems. They never expected an enemy to fight unpredictably. Human weapons were designed to be chaos itself, combining advanced technology with deliberately random elements that confused alien targeting systems. "Their ships are perfect machines," a weapons designer told her team. "But that's their weakness. They can't handle imperfection. So let's give them some human chaos." The Council observers grew more relaxed each day. They reported back to their superiors about Earth's successful pacification. Some even began to pity the humans, seeing them as simple creatures who had wisely accepted their place in the galaxy. But down in the hidden facilities, humanity's greatest project was taking shape. New ships, built using a mix of human and alien technology, waited in underwater hangars. These vessels weren't the sleek, perfect craft the Council used. They were rough, aggressive, and powered by systems that would make Council engineers cry in horror. "They won't expect ships that can both sail and fly," said an admiral, looking at the hybrid fleet. "They think we've gone backward, returning to ocean travel. They don't realize we're combining everything we know with everything they accidentally taught us." Training happened in virtual reality pods, hidden in abandoned subway tunnels and old mine shafts. Soldiers learned to fight using weapons that could switch between traditional bullets and energy pulses. Engineers practiced repairs on hybrid systems that merge Earth's robust machinery with alien power sources. The Council's oversight became their undoing. Their observers reported every detail about Earth's surrender, but failed to notice how their own technology kept disappearing in small amounts. A broken communication device here, a damaged power cell there. Each piece was secretly taken to underground labs and studied. "Their arrogance is our advantage," said the Global Defense Coordinator from the Central Command bunker deep under the Himalayas. "They're so convinced of their superiority that they're blind to our preparations." By the time the Council officially declared Earth successfully contained, humanity had built an entirely new military force. Hidden bases across the planet were connected through systems that mimicked natural Earth phenomena, invisible to Council scans. The resistance forces had weapons that could fight on land, sea, air, and space, something the Council, with their space-focused military, never considered. In the last hidden base to be completed, carved into the Antarctic ice, the human leaders gathered to finalize their plans. The Council thought they were meeting to sign the final surrender documents. They didn't know that beneath the ice, Earth's new combined fleet was ready for launch. "The Council gave us exactly what we needed," said the Resistance leader, looking at the gathered commanders. "Time to prepare, their own technology to study, and most importantly, a reason for all of humanity to work together." As the Council celebrated their diplomatic victory above, humanity's forces waited in their hidden bases, ready to show the galaxy that underestimating Earth had been the Council's final mistake. The revolution wasn't coming. It was already here, hidden beneath the waves, behind mountains, and under ice, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. The Council celebration party was in full swing aboard their command ship. 6 months had passed since Earth's successful containment, and the alien leaders had gathered to congratulate themselves on another primitive world brought to heel. That's when the oceans erupted. Like massive sea monsters from Earth's legends, humanity's hybrid warships burst from the waters of every major ocean simultaneously. They didn't look like the smooth, elegant Council vessels. These ships were dark, angular, and bristling with both human and alien weapons. "Impossible," shouted the Council commander as alarms blared through their fleet. They surrendered. We saw their submission. But humanity had never submitted. They had waited, prepared, and planned. The first shots came from the Pacific Fleet. Human ships fired traditional missiles that suddenly split apart mid-flight, revealing energy weapons inside. The Council's automated defenses, programmed to handle either physical or energy attacks, couldn't cope with weapons that were both. "Their defense computers are crashing," reported a human captain from the Atlantic Fleet. "Just like we planned. They can't process weapons that don't follow their rules." The Council's mighty warships, caught completely off guard, scrambled to respond. They had never faced an enemy that attacked from the water. Their sensors, tuned to watch the skies, failed to track ships that could dive back underwater between shots. In orbit, the Council's command ship tried to organize a defense, but Earth had another surprise waiting. Hundreds of small fighters launched from hidden mountain bases. These crafts, barely larger than Earth's old fighter jets, slipped through gaps in the Council's defensive screen. They were too small for the Council's automated targeting systems, which were designed to fight capital ships. "These primitives," raged the Council admiral. "Their tactics make no sense. Their ships are an offense to proper engineering. Their weapons violate standard combat protocols." But that was exactly why humanity was winning. The Council's forces had perfected space combat over thousands of years. But in doing so, they had become rigid, predictable. Their ships could only fight in specific ways, their computers could only track expected threats, and their commanders could only think in established patterns. Humanity brought chaos to their order. Earth's hybrid ships carried crews trained to fight with both discipline and creativity. When Council ships blocked energy weapons, humans switched to kinetic rounds. When the aliens adapted to physical attacks, Earth forces responded with electromagnetic pulses. Each human vessel could change tactics mid-battle, something the Council's automated systems couldn't handle. The battle reached its turning point 3 hours after it began. A squad of human ships surrounded the Council's primary communication relay. While the alien defenders watched for weapon fire, small teams of humans in spacesuits quietly attached old-fashioned, explosive charges to key points on the station. Such primitive devices wouldn't dare to be used in modern space combat, a Council commander had once said during the occupation. Those words now came back to haunt them as their multi-billion credit relay station was destroyed by simple human explosives. With their communication network damaged, the Council fleet fell into confusion. Their rigid command structure couldn't function without constant coordination. Individual ship commanders, never trained to think independently, hesitated to act without orders. That's when humanity struck their final blow of the day. The largest of Earth's new ships, rising from the Indian Ocean, launched a massive barrage of hybrid weapons. The attack overwhelmed the Council command ship's defenses through sheer variety: missiles, energy beams, electromagnetic pulses, and simple kinetic rounds, all hitting at once. The Council's mighty command vessel, pride of their fleet, fell to a combination of technologies they had dismissed as primitive mixed with their own advanced systems turned against them. "Send the message," ordered the human admiral as the Council command ship drifted powerless in orbit. The transmission was short. "Earth is free." This was just the first strike. Consider carefully what happens next. As the remains of the Council fleet retreated in disarray, humanity's forces returned to their hidden bases, ready for the next phase of the war. They had won their first battle not through superior technology or numbers, but by being everything the Council thought impossible: unpredictable, innovative, and willing to break every rule of proper warfare. News travels fast in space, even faster when it's bad news for those in power. Within days of Earth's surprise victory, word spread through the galaxy. The primitive humans had defeated the Council's containment fleet. The impossible had happened. In the Council's main chamber on their capital world, angry voices echoed off the crystal walls. "How could this happen?" demanded one Council leader, pounding his fist on the polished table. They were contained, pacified. The response came from a junior analyst, bravely stepping forward with a data tablet. "We have analyzed their attack pattern." It was without pattern. They combined technologies in ways our computers say should not work. They hid their forces in oceans, in water. No civilized species builds military bases underwater. But the most worrying news wasn't Earth's military victory. It was the effect this victory had on other controlled worlds. Reports began flooding in from across Council space. On planet X-237, a supposedly peaceful mining world, workers were refusing Council orders. In the spiral arm sectors, 3 different species had started demanding independence. Worlds that had been quietly accepting Council rule for centuries were suddenly asking uncomfortable questions. If humans could do it. The whispers spread from planet to planet. The Council tried to contain the news, but they had forgotten one of humanity's first lessons. Trying to hide information often makes it spread faster. Their attempts at censorship only made other species more curious about Earth. Then came an even bigger problem. Council military officers began reporting strange changes in their battles with human forces. Earth's ships would appear suddenly from hyperspace using modified Council drives, but in ways the Council had never considered. "They're teaching other worlds our weakness," reported a Council spy. "Human diplomats are meeting in secret with representatives from dozens of species. They're sharing their hybrid technology designs." The Council's response was quick but clumsy. They sent their largest fleet to surround Earth, hoping to scare humans into submission through sheer numbers. Instead, they discovered that Earth had been busy in the weeks since their first victory. Human ships now patrolled the solar system using a mix of technologies from a dozen different species. Earth's engineers had taken the best parts of every spacefaring race's technology and combined them in new ways. Their ships could now phase through Council energy barriers using modified drives from one species, while firing weapons that combined 3 different alien technologies with old human gunpowder weapons. "They're not just adapting our technology," a Council scientist reported with horror. "They're improving it, making it work in ways we never imagined." But humanity's greatest weapon wasn't their hybrid technology. It was their willingness to share it. Every time the Council blocked one of Earth's advancements, humans would teach it to another species, who would then modify it further. Ideas spread faster than the Council could contain them. In the Galactic core, Council economists reported a troubling trend. Trade routes were changing. More and more ships were stopping at Earth, despite Council warnings. Alien merchants discovered that humans would trade fairly and weren't interested in controlling other species. They just wanted to learn and share knowledge. "Their chaos is infectious," complained a Council minister. "They're teaching other species to think differently." The final blow to Council authority came when one of their oldest member species publicly announced they were opening direct diplomatic relations with Earth. "The humans have shown us that cooperation is stronger than control," their ambassador declared. The Council chamber erupted into chaos at this news. Older members demanded immediate military action against Earth. Younger members suggested maybe it was time for the council to change. In the middle of their argument, another report arrived. 3 more species had declared their independence, using modified human hybrid technology to defend their worlds. As the council leaders argued, Earth continued to build alliances. Humans didn't seek to control or dominate. They simply offered their innovations freely, teaching others how to combine technologies in new ways, how to think beyond the council's rigid rules. The galaxy was changing, all because one primitive species had dared to fight back. And this was just the beginning. The mighty Galactic Council, which had ruled space for over 10,000 years, was falling apart. In their grand chamber, where once all members spoke with one voice, now 2 clear sides had formed. On one side stood the Old Guard, species that had been part of the council since its beginning. They wanted to gather every warship in the galaxy and crush Earth completely. We must make an example of these humans, they argued, or we'll lose control of everything. On the other side were the progressive members, mostly younger species who had seen how Earth treated its allies. The humans have shown us a better way, they said. Why must we control everything? Why can't we work together as equals? The argument reached its peak when 3 council members secretly sent their representatives to Earth. They traveled in unmarked ships, hoping to avoid detection. But the Old Guard had spies everywhere. "Traitors," shouted the council leader, his voice echoing through the chamber. "How dare you speak with these primitives?" But the representatives who returned from Earth didn't act like guilty traitors. They stood proud and spoke clearly about what they had seen. "The humans don't want to destroy the council," one representative explained. "They want to change it. They showed us their schools, where they teach children from 20 different species. They showed us their laboratories, where scientists from across the galaxy work together as equals." This news shocked many council members. They had expected to hear about military bases and weapon factories. Instead, they heard about cooperation and shared knowledge. More revelations followed. Some council ships began disappearing, not destroyed but deserting. Their crews, tired of the Old Guard's rigid rules, fled to Earth space. There, they found something unexpected: freedom to think differently. "Human engineers helped us modify our ships," reported one deserter. "Not by ordering us to change, but by asking us what we thought could be improved. They listened to ideas the council would call stupid, and sometimes those stupid ideas work better than the old ways." The Old Guard tried to stop the spread of these ideas. They sent their best spies to human space, expecting to find secret weapons or hidden fleets. Instead, the spies found open markets where different species traded freely, schools where children learned to question everything, and laboratories where impossible ideas were tested daily. Many spies never returned to the council. Those who did brought back dangerous ideas about freedom and cooperation. The final crack in the council's unity came from an unexpected source. The librarian species, known for keeping the council's records for thousands of years, announced a shocking discovery. "We have reviewed our oldest records," the chief librarian announced. "The original council was not formed to control other species. It was created to help young civilizations grow and learn from each other. Somewhere over the millennia, we forgot this purpose. The humans haven't corrupted our values. They've reminded us of what we were meant to be." This announcement hit the Old Guard like a physical blow. Many of their supporters, already doubting their harsh methods, began switching sides. The council's military forces faced a similar crisis. More ships deserted every day, not to fight for Earth, but to learn from humans. The Old Guard found themselves losing power not through war, but through the simple spread of ideas. Some council members tried one last desperate plan. They launched a surprise attack on Earth, hoping to end the rebellion quickly. Their fleet was the largest ever assembled in council history. But when they reached Earth's solar system, they found something unprecedented. Ships from 50 different species formed a defensive line around Earth. Many were former council vessels, now modified with hybrid technology. They weren't there because humans had ordered them to fight. They were there because Earth had earned their loyalty through respect and cooperation. The old guard fleet, facing ships from their own worlds crewed by their own people, finally understood. The galaxy had changed. The age of control through force was ending. As their weapons powered down, a simple message played across every ship's communication system. Welcome to the future. Earth's tea and coffee are always available for those who wish to talk. 1 year after Earth's first strike against the Council, the galaxy looked very different. The Great Council Chamber, once a place of rigid rules and harsh judgments, had been transformed. Where there used to be only the Council's most powerful species, now representatives from hundreds of worlds sat together, including many the old Council had labeled primitive. At the center of this change sat the human delegation, not as conquerors but as advisors. They had refused the offer to leave the new alliance alone, suggesting instead a rotating leadership system where all species would take turns guiding galactic policy. We learned something important from the old Council's mistakes, explained the human representative. True strength doesn't come from controlling others. It comes from working together and learning from each other. The new alliance, called the Galactic Cooperation, worked differently from the old Council. Instead of forcing all species to follow the same path, they encouraged each civilization to develop in its own way while sharing knowledge freely. Earth's biggest contribution wasn't their hybrid technology or military strength. It was their education system. The humans opened what they called the Galactic Exchange Program. In huge space stations orbiting Earth, students and teachers from thousands of worlds shared ideas and challenged old ways of thinking. Humans taught us to ask, why not? Instead of just following rules, said a young engineer from a former Council world. His latest invention, combining 5 different species technology in a way the old Council would have called impossible, had just revolutionized space travel. The old Council's military fleet, once the most feared force in space, was transformed. Instead of enforcing rules, they now helped protect young civilizations and provided aid during natural disasters. Their ships, redesigned with human ideas, could adapt to any situation instead of following rigid protocols. But not everything changed overnight. Some of the old Council members still resisted, hiding in distant parts of the galaxy. They called themselves the True Council and promised to restore the old order. But their numbers grew smaller each year as more of their people saw the benefits of cooperation over control. The biggest surprise came from Earth's oceans. The underwater bases, once built for war, became centers for scientific research. Species that had never considered water important discovered new possibilities in Earth's seas. Soon, underwater cities spread across the galaxy as other worlds realized the oceans they had ignored were full of resources and opportunities. Humans showed us that what we thought was primitive could actually be advanced, said a former Council scientist working in an underwater research station. We just needed to look at things differently. Trade flourished under the new system. Without the Council's strict controls, species freely exchanged goods and ideas. Markets that once served only the Council's elite now welcomed traders from every world. Earth's simple trading principle, fair exchange helps everyone grow, replaced the Council's complex regulations. The galaxy's newest species, once afraid to join galactic society, now eagerly made contact. They had seen how the galactic cooperation helped Earth advance without losing its identity. These young civilizations brought fresh ideas and perspectives, making the galaxy even more diverse and innovative. One day, in the newly renamed Chamber of Cooperation, a visitor asked the human representative why Earth hadn't taken control when they had the chance. They had defeated the Council and had the support of many worlds. They could have built their own empire. The human smiled and pointed to a huge window showing the busy space lanes around Earth, filled with ships of all shapes and sizes from countless worlds. "Look out there," the representative said. "Every ship is different. Every species has its own way of doing things. That's not chaos. That's strength. The old Council tried to make everyone the same. We succeeded because we stayed different. Now we're helping others do the same." As the story of Earth's resistance spread to the galaxy's farthest corners, it wasn't remembered as just a victory in battle. It became a lesson about the strength found in diversity, the power of cooperation over control, and how sometimes the most advanced civilization isn't the one with the most technology. It's the one most willing to learn and share with others. The galaxy had changed forever, and it all started because one primitive species dared to fight back and then chose to help others instead of ruling them.